Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. We finally have Tara Garrison on the show. Welcome to the show.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, what a gift. What a gift. You're such a powerhouse.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're such a powerhouse. What you do, how you serve the world. If we bumped into each other in Whole Foods, what would you tell me you do?
Well, I mean, immediately like identifies like, right? Like I feel like immediately that's how it's been with us. We see each other at conferences like, oh, yep, you just know when you see certain people, it's the aura, it's the something going on there.
Yeah.
What would I tell you to do? I wouldn't tell you to do anything. I would just have like 50 million questions.
Wait, what would you tell me you do if I was like, if I noticed
for
your
living.
aura and I said, Tara,
Okay.
what are you doing? There's something going on here. You got a little bit of a glow.
I would say I help people feel better by tapping them into themselves, Yeah. And helping them get, I like to, I mean, if you want to, if I'm going to be more like detailed than that. So what I say I do is health and life coaching. Okay. So started as a personal trainer, then went into nutrition, got deep. I love training. Training is like my first love, changed my life. Training for me was the gateway drug to personal awakening for me. I mean, it literally changed my entire life when I got into that. And so I'm super nerdy like you, like everybody listening here. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you weren't super nerdy, but we're like the cool nerds. That's how I like to see it. And so got really into that, then into nutrition, then into all the biohacking, health optimization stuff that you tend to get into if you're a curious mind and, how good does this get kind of mindset. And then mindset coaching, and that years in the making. But I say mindset coaching, but it's really like, how are our thoughts and our subconscious beliefs about life and all these things causing unnecessary suffering that's not only diminishing our quality of life, but also our health.
Yeah.
Right? And that just came, even when I was a personal trainer, I'm like, well, yeah, no wonder it's not working. Like, I can tell this person has this belief that they can't ever stop. They have to completely prove their worth through doing. And, they're little teetering on the self-sacrifice level of like, it's gone too far and they're just exhausted. And I'm sitting there saying, how's your stress levels? And they're like, oh, good. And I'm like, okay, lay down on the floor. I just want to just lay there for a second. I'm just watching them breathe into their chest only, and I'm like, BS. You're stressed out of your mind, And so like, even from those days, I could just see it. And it eventually got to the point where I was like, well, if I really want people to get to this place of thriving and freedom, we're going to also have to go into their subconscious mind and their beliefs about life and how they're seeing others and, healing their relationship with themselves and getting some tools there.
Yeah.
I guess holistic health coach, but people are like, what is that? And for me, it's literally everything I can think of that needs to be done, all the way from lab testing, all of it, DNA, hair mineral analysis, blood labs, stool testing, saliva, urine, like anything that I can do to figure out what is going on to help somebody get to where they want to go, is what I do.
Incredible. I'm going to bookmark that because I have 2 questions, but I don't want to go there yet. Were you always this way? Was there a turning point in your life where you're like, there's a little more in the tank for me?
I have been told that on both a physical and energetic level, I'm completely unrecognizable from the person that I used to be. I see me always in there. But no, I mean, basically the short version is I was raised Mormon in the LDS church, kind of went through that whole path of like doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, right? Ended up, stay-at-home mom, 4 kids, overweight, totally out of alignment, unhappy, and, just trying so hard to be a good girl. But just so unfulfilled. And then when I got into training, something happened to my brain, and then fixing my nutrition, all that. And I just started to, I felt like my brain came online for the first time in my life all the way. And so I felt more comfortable with asking critical questions and not being okay with things that weren't okay. I was super people pleaser, right? And so eventually that led to me getting out of that religion, getting divorced 3 months later. No joke. It was just like the awareness was like, you are so far out of alignment. It's not even funny. And then so I got in shape. I went from probably pushing 40%, definitely at least 35% body fat, to 11% body fat. I kind of overachieved it. I am a bit of an overachiever by kind of type, right? Like I get really obsessed and excited about cool things. And so I ended up 11% body fat, like looking like total, like getting ready to go on stage bodybuilder. Kind of overdid it, a year and a half later. In a year and a half, I did that, which is crazy. Like now as a coach,
Wow.
like I really like look at that. I'm like, that's freaking crazy. That is so unusual. I knew it was unusual what I was doing, but I, kind of had almost like an unhealthy level obsession at that point.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I got out of all, I thought I was like so woke and conscious after that, but I had not done any work, no therapy, no nothing. Ended up in a, narcissistic abuse type relationship. He became my new Mormonism, all that, lost everything. I've got 4 kids. I was like having to live with a friend, like I hit some really big lows, and I was already doing the training and nutrition stuff, but that was like, it felt like a soul gift of like, okay, if you really want to help people, then you're going to have to help yourself in a lot of other ways than just all this fitness and nutrition stuff. Right. And so that led to a really humbling journey of just unbelievable levels of shadow work and investing every penny I had. And I still do, I've just got a new therapist. I have mindset coaches, all that, but that led to ultimately living life at a level that I didn't even know was possible and feeling the most like me that I ever have. So it's been a journey, but yeah, no, and who you're meeting today is like my inner child, it's like the regular me without all this crazy talks. I mean, I'm sure I still have plenty of programs I haven't figured out yet,
Yeah.
I at least can recognize that I'm programmed and we're all programmed, but
Yeah.
I'm more conscious of that now and have tools and the ability to work through those things. So everything is like I'm kind of in the ease stage after a very tumultuous, stressful, like beyond what I thought I could handle level journey of just complete and total chaos, distraught. What am I going to do? Desperate for answers, and everything was hard. And, now I'm in this place of like kind of reaping the rewards of all that hard work. And it's not that I don't still have stuff, but it's now things are a lot easier and more joyful. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
It's beautiful. You can see that contrast. Feel as though maybe it exists. Like there could be a podcast that is just about people's journey and story breaking out of the Mormon religion and the transformation. There are podcasts.
It's Mormon
Okay.
Stories podcast. It's really huge. John DeLynn. It's really great. Yeah.
Because I personally, I have 6 friends that it's like that was their journey and their story, and then they became pretty much everybody became like a butterfly.
Yeah. Yeah. I live in Utah, right? So there's a lot of ex-Mormon people here. And it's really cool in a lot of ways because what happens is basically, I'm just going to say this without like worrying about offending people. Okay. So I'm just going to be really honest from my point of view, and people can take it or
I
leave it.
appreciate that.
My experience is when you found out that you had hardcore dedicated your whole life, like every decision you've made in your life, your whole world, everyone big, huge life decisions you've made were all based on lies. It's the most incredible betrayal trauma that you can experience. And it's a complete and total fracturing of your sense of reality. You feel like you've been living in like a psychosis. It's like, I don't even know what I think about anything. It is by far the hardest thing that I have ever gone through. In fact, my son, who's 17, just went to like a Mormon, like I call it brainwashing camp, but at BYU, because his friend invited him. It's like for the youth or whatever. And he was honestly like traumatized from it. He just got home Saturday, like, a few days before recording this. And he was like, Mom, it was so scary. Like, I can't believe what they're doing to those kids. Like, it was horrible. Like, I was appalled, and they're all looking at me like I'm the weird one. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, so much manipulation and all that. And it was really sweet because he goes, I don't know how you did that. Like, no, for real, Mom, how did you get out of that? Like that, it's so intense. They're like so sneaky with it and so manipulative. Like, no, for real. Like, I have so much respect. How did you do that? And so it is. But when you meet people who have gone through that, what happens is you realize that you almost lived a life like my whole life is a lie thing. That is 100% reality of what your experience is. And there's a lot of grieving, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of sadness. And that it's like, who am I? Your whole identity has been constructed around this thing. And it's so much to go through, but it elicits in someone who goes from like they were hardcore dedicated to that is actually not true at all, to an extreme humbling place where you're like, man, I now understand that I can be completely wrong about how I'm seeing things. So it leads you to be in this very open-minded place where you don't want to be dogmatic about anything because you've learned that that is not really going to get you where you want to go in life. So most people who have been through something like that, they're extremely open-minded. They're very deep thinking, and they have this kind of new lease on life. You know, I was 33 when this happened. I'm 42 now. And it's just, yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, I almost missed out on life on my terms. So you kind of get this like very curious, exploring what is possible, what's out there, non-dogmatic person as a result of that. So, yeah.
And also, do you find that without that experience, do you think you would have had this slingshot to where you are now?
You know, it wasn't just that. Yeah, no. And I do want to say there is a lot of gratitude I have for it's just like all perfect to me. You know, just yesterday I was getting a massage from my sports massage girl and she's Mormon. And so she's playing this music and it's like Mormon hymns the whole time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's just like, you know, the instrumental only. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know every word, every one of these songs. And it was bringing up all these memories that I realized I had forgotten, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, this was such a huge part of my life for so long. Like, I actually was really kind of processing that. I was like, wow, like it's kind of like everything that's familiar to you and home is just gone, you know, when this happens. And to answer your question more definitively, I have gratitude. I had a single mom who had schizophrenia, undiagnosed, was in complete denial. So our home life was really chaotic. Mormonism gave us some sort of something. Like I don't know that my life would have turned out. You know, if I had no anchor to anything with that kind of chaotic home life, Mormonism provided me an opportunity to meet a lot of other people who lived life in different ways. And, you know, at least got me thinking about having values and leadership and, you know, all of these opportunities. So even though there was a lot of brainwashing stuff that was very traumatic that I had to move, you know, work through, and still stuff comes up that I have to work through, that I didn't realize is still in there. But it also was a gift in a lot of ways, right? You know, my ultimate low was like after a year and a half after getting out of Mormonism and divorce, after that, I'm being real. I'm not overusing narcissism. I know people get all up in arms about that. I'm like, I challenge you. Everyone I know that knows this guy is like, he's like textbook. Like he definitely had some severe mental health issues, maybe some other things going on. And yeah, it was a really dark time for me. I lost all sense of self-esteem. I couldn't even have my kids because I'm living with people. I had not a penny to my name. Like it was that a year and a half after, you know, losing everyone I know, dropping a nuclear bomb on my life, like getting divorced, like now less than a year and a half later, just under, I'm like at this low. I was like, dude, I cannot handle this anymore. And I refer to that time period as my body slam from the universe. Is like, they're like, you got it. She got it. She got it. But like, we need to wake you up. Like you didn't get it all the way. So I feel like I was gifted this guy that was so extreme. It was like so obvious, right? Like I could have easily just ended up in like a mildly abusive relationship where I'm this codependent people pleaser and just, you know, that's how it would have gone for me. And it was so bad that it was so obvious. I'm so grateful for it now that, yeah, like all of those three lows combined just made it made it impossible at least for me to not see that the things that were not going well in life were centered in what was going on inside of me. It's like, I have to at least be aware that the results I'm getting in my life are a result of what's happening inside me. And it made me desperate to unpack all that and to put in new, healthier programs, and from psychedelics to breath work to coaches, you know, mindset coaches, therapy, books, all of my own integration. Just like I went ham. And I'm not afraid to look bad. I'm not afraid to talk about my shadows and my imperfections and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really helped me, right? Because now I do this work with other people. The hardest client I'll ever get is somebody who doesn't have any problems, right? Like they'll kind of teeter into it and then they just want to save face and talk about how great they are and how healed they already are. And I'm just like sitting there on the other end, like, this is going to be a little tough because we got to get through all these ego protections first, right? The most easiest clients I'll ever have are the ones that, you know, I've had crazy high performers, people who are, you know, literal rock stars, movie stars, running for president of their country, retired NFL players. Those people will be the first ones to tell me all the things that there isn't going well with them, right? And that is, I think, a pattern of success. That's what helps you get to the next level, is like not ego protecting yourself like crazy, right? So that, you know, going through that of just, yeah, no, I got tons of stuff I gotta look at. And I still kind of approach that life that way, meaning I have so much respect and love for myself, and, you know, I'm whole and complete as I am. I think because of that, it's easier to be like, yeah, it's just, this part of your life's not going well, Tara. So nothing but love, but like, let's take a look and dive in. Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, humility,
Beautiful.
getting humbled to the freaking bottom is a gift. It is. And we all know that you've been there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's all, yeah, it's so unique. I keep saying life is the ultimate simulation. You know, the
Yes.
waves keep coming. If you want to go deep, you can go deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's there for you if you want it that day. If you want to ride for a year or two and coast, and just, that's okay too. But it's
Yeah, but you didn't
wild.
want to go deep. You didn't want to go that deep. That was not on your agenda
No,
or
it was not.
mine.
No,
But what do you think of it now?
the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, I always say mine is the best, worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. And I really and truly, people are like, oh, that's terrible to say, but I truly mean it. It's like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. Oh, let's do a deep breath with that. Hope everybody heard the squeak from my deviated septum there. Another thing I can work on. Tara, I want to go back to, first of all, it just beautiful reflection. And I love that you can see the gift in that, because I see it. Whenever I listen to someone's story, I was like, wow, what a great way to be catapulted into level 1,000 in one lifetime. Because
Yeah.
without that catalyst, especially a powerful catalyst, I think that's just basic physics, right? You look at, we're going to talk about all the great things you do now and the way you serve the world. I want to go back to when you said, I started working with my body and it like cracked something and it released. I went from 35 to 40% body fat down to 11. Now, I want everybody in the audience to just benchmark that, because there will be people, and you're going to be one of the last ones of this generation that did that without peptides. Like there is like an OG, like I did it the hard way. What did that look like for you? Because that's a hell of a transformation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me preface with, I don't necessarily recommend it. There was a lot of trauma response happening there, right? When I
Okay.
say like unhealthy level obsession, because basically, I have a fly. Sorry. We have a
That's
fly
all right.
friend in the house.
I got a mosquito on my side too, and he's like tapping the screen every once in a while.
It's like they hide and wait till I get on camera, and then they're like, yes, it's my time to shine. Okay. So basically, how it kind of all started for me, I had always been a runner. My mom was like a kind of a pioneer in women's running. In the 1960s, she ran the mile so fast in her PE class that they put her on the boys track team in the 60s in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. And then some of the boys quit because they didn't want a girl to beat them. That's my
Go
favorite
mom.
part. It's like so 60s, right?
Yeah. So
then,
60s. That's an episode of the Wonder Years right there.
Not letting a girl be. So funny, right? But so then they started a girls track team for her the next year, and then she ended up being number 8 in the nation for. She was in the whatever that one is like 2 miles, the longest one they do in track, 3,200 or whatever that is. And she went to the Olympic trials, but they didn't have her event yet, because women's running was so new. So she didn't get to go to the Olympics because she had to run the mile, which is like a completely different thing. But because of that, my mom had a great love for running and instilled that in like all of us, especially me. Like I was the one that like, I feel like really, really latched onto it. I loved it. And so I had always run, right? And even when I was overweight, I was running full marathons.
Wow.
You know, a common before picture I'll share every once in a while on social media. I had just run a full marathon like a few months before that, right? And then basically I was having marriage issues, and my, you know, all my childhood wounds came out and all this stuff of like, I'm not good enough. I have to be hotter. I have to fix this. Like, classic codependent. Okay. Like just taking over responsibility, whatever. And so that lit a fire under me like crazy, right? Like it was just like, it was like I was saving my marriage or something, which that's not what happened at all. And that was never the issue, obviously. Anyway, but that's where I was at. psychologically, right? And then on top of it, it fed I've always loved sports. I've always loved being active. I thought I was going to the WNBA. I sucked at basketball, but I would like shoot for hours in my backyard. Like, I'm good. This is what it takes. Like I just kind of have that in me, right? And so it kind of fed that. So there was this simultaneous thing happening of wounded behavior, desperation, trying to prove I'm good enough, codependency, make everything better, have to do this, matched with this interesting thing that was happening where I'm like, this is cool. I love this. Especially at that time my youngest was like 1 or 2 of 4 kids. So I'm like, oh my gosh, me time. I get to be by myself when I'm in here. Yay. So that was all kind of all happening at the same time. And so that's why you're seeing getting to 11% body fat. I don't really recommend that for most women, right? But that's where it led me to. I didn't know I was that lean. I was just trying to be 135 pounds. I was, what I mean? I wasn't a coach yet. I didn't know anything. I was just following the basic bodybuilder path.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first time I got a DEXA scan and found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like, I had no idea I was that lean. So
yeah.
Anyway, so then well, I'm lost with your question.
No, you got us there. You would it was really the mindset and the driver and your personality traits that drove you to that. It's like you opened the doors and your body kind of took you there.
Yeah. And so I like to share that there was a unhealthy motivator there because, now I have a 17-year-old son that's watching all these like bodybuilding accounts and stuff on social media. And it takes one to know one. You can just see wounded, not good enough, trying to prove your value and blah, 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 toxicity from a mile away when you've lived it yourself. It's like, I know what's happening behind the scenes there. This person is like basically trying to starve themselves. They're binging every once in a while and then they feel like crap. And then they're basically becoming like exercise bulimic and all this stuff. They're getting all these like disordered eating patterns. Like, I just know. I've lived that life. I've coached many people who have lived that life. I just know, And so I like to share that because it's like, what was really frustrating was like when I was that lean or whenever I tend to be on the leaner side, which I'm already pretty lean for like, it shocks me how lean I am I don't track any of my food. I'm just trying to be optimal, right? Like I just love training. I love getting good sleep. I intermittent fast because I feel best that way. I eat whatever the freak I want, but what I want is nourishing for the most part because I have that relationship with my body now. But anytime like I'll be like really lean like that from society standpoint, it's like I can't go anywhere without people being like, you look amazing. I did a bikini competition in 2021 as a spy into the industry. Okay. Because I'm getting all these prior competitors and I'm like, these people are all messed up. And I kind of used to live like them too, but I haven't actually done a show. So I'm going to do it. And I hired a coach and I was like, you're going to turn off your coach brain. This is me already coming from like, now I'm healed and have been in a good place with my body and I'm not pressuring myself to look a certain way. I just love being healthy and everything's good.
This would be a great Netflix documentary, by the way.
Oh my gosh. It was so crazy.
You should write this up as a script.
I really should document it better because I've given people, it was really just for me to know. It was just, the summary is I went into it open-minded. I did 2 shows back to back that were like a month apart. The first show, my people pleaser tendencies started coming up and I'm meeting all these nice people in that world and I like kind of don't want to offend them. And so I'm kind of going this place of like, like people can just do what they want. It's like all good, But the second show, there was a pro show at that one. It was a much bigger show. And my gosh, like heartbreaking. Like I just talking to women in the back is just, like how hard they are on themselves about the way they look. Like this woman has the nicest butt I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm like, how are you even a real human? And she's like devastated about how bad her glutes look and how she's going to take a whole year off just to build them. And I'm just like, to all the way to, guys, are you so excited to eat regular food again? I can't wait to eat regular food again. I called it my starvation contest. That's what it feels like. It's like, who can starve the best and exercise a lot while you starve to death? That's what it felt like to me. And, this one woman was like, oh no, I just want a protein bar and some water after. And I'm just like, what? Like we're starving to death. And all the way to, one woman who was a pro, she was 9% body fat. I only got down to 10. I was shredded. She's 9% body fat. She didn't even place. And it was just me and her coach and her in the back room after this thing. And he's like, got to get leaner, got to show up leaner next time. And I'm like, And her face was just devastated. She's like, how? I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Just
So
so tired and so hungry, and from a
yeah.
soul standpoint, so thin.
And dude, yes, I've met a few competitors here and there that seem to like fare well out of this, but for the most part, I'm sorry, but you are not going to be, it's going to be very difficult to come out of a situation when you are literally being judged on how your body looks and not get some body issues from that. And I was binging like crazy after that. It felt like my inner child was wounded. It was like, I just needed to know that I could have all the food I wanted. So
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, little side tangent, but I think it's interesting.
No, it's beyond interesting. And now I'm really wondering, I'm like, well, clearly people gravitate towards some of these contests. It's community.
Mm-hmm.
You have a camp, you have validation for your work. You're allowed to be seen in a certain light. Like I understand the draw, like it's interesting. We're kind of on this. I mean, do you call that a cult? Like there's literally like kind of like we're kind of
Kinda,
moving into
yeah.
these different silos that do have some tethers.
The health optimization community is more culty than the bodybuilding community.
Oh, interesting. Let's go
Yeah.
there.
The bodybuilding community is just like, yeah, of course you're going to get groupthink and all that kind of stuff like any community.
Yeah.
But I don't see as much ego in terms of in the realm of we look down on everybody else who's not like us. Most people get into bodybuilding out of wounded, like they don't feel good enough. There's a lot of insecurity. A lot of the guys were bullied. The women entered from a place like me of like not feeling good enough. So like most people that you meet who are in that, they're like the nicest, most humblest people you'll ever talk to. They don't think they're good enough, basically. In the health optimization, biohacking, all that kind of world, you run into a lot of, I'm literally better than other people because I live like this. You run into that all the time.
I'm reading this book called Us. It's a relationship book. It's really good. If anybody, I can't remember the name of the author. I will look it up. I can talk. Us. Book on relationships. That's how good my Us.
Mm-hmm.
Getting past you and me to build a more loving relationship. It's Terrence
Nice.
Real.
Okay.
It's really profound. I love it. But it's really interesting. He never frames any behavior pattern as a malady. He explores like what is the polarity of that and how does it exist because you're always in this kind of magnetic relationship with the counterpart that's allowing you to be. So he talks a lot about men showing up in a relationship with a sense of grandiosity. And I see that and I was like, oh, I've never thought about it that way. Right? It's like everything I do is right. I'm better than, and it's a really, and the ego can really just run away. And then he's like, and this is where it starts to lead with these bad behaviors and where men are justified in going outside the relationship because they're the breadwinner, they work so hard, da 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 da. But it's that term grandiosity, I would say, shows up a lot on the stage at a lot of these events, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely seen that. Anyway, sorry to sidetrack us.
No, I appreciate that. I'm going to check that book out. That sounds amazing.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
I love what
And
it's
it's all
about.
interviews with couples, and he's quoting the couples, like direct quotes, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, whoa, see what the
Cool.
guys say. And you see the facade that is showing up, and eventually, like, when it cracks, it's wild. And like, just like
Mm.
you're saying, when you crack something apart, it's going to take a while to put it back together till it's a
Yeah.
functional thing again. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting and how the messiness sits there for a while.
Mm.
Anyways, really good book. Go get it, everybody.
All
Us.
right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of cap it off on the cult talk, okay, like because I have been in one and I'm deeply familiar with like the parts of it that are the part of the like health optimization, biohacking, the communities that reminds me of a cult, like specifically when I was deep in the keto world, which really crosses over with the whole health optimization, biohacking world, right? Is a fear to go against the group, a fear to say something that everyone else in the group won't agree with, a fear of loss. If I were to change my mind about this thing in my life, I might lose community. People might not want to be my friend anymore. That's an aspect of so going back to bodybuilding, it's normal in bodybuilding to be like, oh yeah, I'm done. I just wanted to do one show, or I just, something I want to do, or I did it for 10 years, but I'm just, I'm going my own way now. Like that's a normal, no one's like, no, like what? You're wrong to do that. Right. Like it's just a normal thing. But like, for example, I used to be specialized in keto. That's all I did was keto coaching for a while. Right. And I was, very involved with all the people that were like really pushing keto, and I'm going to all the keto conferences and all that stuff, and kind of had made my business around that. And I got to a point where I felt intuitively like I needed to bring carbohydrates back in. And everything went up. Everything got better. Like it was really cool going into keto, and I got some really cool metabolic adaptations from that and was excited about that. But like, I also trust myself enough to know when to shift. And I just knew. And like my body comp got better. I actually had gained some body fat and lost muscle on keto, despite optimizing leucine and eating all, freaking game meats and all the highest quality stuff and training. Like my body I'm glad I did that favor to my metabolism, but my body tends to thrive better with carbohydrates for sure. Okay. Well,
Amazing.
that was just not like the messaging that was coming out. This is in like late 2017, early 2018. The messaging from the keto community that I was in at that time was basically like people who eat carbs are like dumb. Like their brains don't work as well. Like they're sugar burners. They're dependent on glucose, and like ketones are the optimal fuel source. And like, it's basically kind of like we're more intelligent. Like we know better. We know that's another thing. We know more than they know. That whole thing. We're privy to this information that's more superior than everybody else knows. And we're better because of that. That's how cults are. Every single cult-like environment believes that they have access to some sort of special information that makes them unique and separate from everybody else, and looks down on other people who don't have access to that way of thinking. I see this in spiritual circles because I'm a little hippie, and I'm just like, nothing but love. But I see that. And I see exactly, you're doing exactly what I did in Mormonism. It's just you listen to your Ram Dass and your Alan Watts and do all your plant medicines or whatever. And now you're looking down on people who are watching TV and, eating McDonald's like you're literally a better person than them. Or maybe they're not present enough for you. And so they're now less than. Like that's not conscious. That's cult-like thinking. And it's ego. And so I see that in the health optimization communities a lot. Like there's judgment on other people. I hate that. How about compassion? Just because somebody, and also it's with the whole underlying feeling that we're right. No, if somebody wants to eat McDonald's till the day that they die and maybe lives like 90 years I'm serious, eating white bread and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. There's plenty of people who have lived a long life eating that food. I'm not saying it's optimal. I don't eat like that, but they are perfectly entitled to live their life like that. I'm not better than them. They're not dumb for doing that. They can live that way if they want to, and respect that, and if they have questions or interest in, the way I'm doing things, cool, I'll share that. But that's what I mean is it's this little energy of like, we have access to the special good information and everyone else who doesn't is kind of less than. That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Empathy,
can ruin
understanding.
relationships.
1,000,000,000%. 1,000,000,000%. I'm just thinking about, it's wild. It's wild. And so what gives you your North Compass? What allows you to, again, you've went through a wild experience, you've been in and out of whether it's narcissistic relationships or, you breaking free from your religion. Do you think that true ability to like listen to your compass was always there, or how do you think that developed for you?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So in Mormonism, they have a belief of like the Holy Ghost. There's like God, Jesus, and the Holy, I think a lot of Christians are like Holy Spirit or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's Lutheran Christianity. Yeah, right?
So they say Holy Ghost. I think other people say Holy Spirit or something. But basically, I see that as the Mormon framework for like intuition or getting spiritual nudges, getting downloads or whatever we might want to call it. And I always had really strong access to that. And I always had like cool things happen in my life from that. I just called it the Holy Ghost told me blah, blah, blah back then. Right. So then when I left Mormonism, when you go through something like that, it's just like, completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because it's, you don't even know, you don't trust yourself at all. You're like, I don't know what's real at all anymore. So I went into this short-lived period, not out of choice, it's just what happened, but I went through this short period of, it's all BS. We're just freaking organisms on a rock in space. And when we die, we die. Okay. So that's where I was for like maybe a couple months
Yeah.
max. And I just started having like even stronger, like spiritual downloads, like out of nowhere, like lightning bolt this way, not that way, like blah, 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 like all this stuff coming in stronger than I ever had when I was Mormon. And that is my guiding North Star, my inner compass is, I guess the best word I have for it is intuition, or access to higher information that I trust. I don't know where it's coming from. It could be my grandma. It could be aliens. It could be some sort of, I have no idea. It could be my higher self. I'm not sure. It does feel like a they, like to me, but like I get information that way. I also see myself as having a vantage point that they, or whatever this is, this intuitive thing don't have. Like there's a lot of mutual respect there, I feel like, in my kind of spiritual life. But yeah, I lead my whole life, my business, my personal life, like everything. Like I spend a lot of time in meditation and silence, and actually exercise is a portal to that space for me. When I get all those neurotransmitters ramped up, like I just feel incredibly in tune spiritually. And so I've just learned to trust that. But yeah, that has not steered me wrong in the last decade of my life. It's been, the more I've learned to trust it, the better my life has gotten.
Yeah. Amazing. So proud of you.
Thanks.
Yeah. What a ride.
Yeah.
What a ride. I want to go all the way back now to the beginning, when you said often when you're working with clients that you're looking at blood sugar, hair mineral analysis, labs, hormones, performance data, heart rate variability. Do you use any type of a software or a dashboard that keeps all this information like congruent and you can kind of see it on a different scope? Or do you just kind of, are you looking at things and you're intuitively like understanding where the client needs to go next?
Yeah, I've looked in all sorts of dashboards. Joe from Heads Up Health is probably going to be like, yeah, we've tried a million times. Here's my issue. Here's my issue. I deliver training. I do customized training for my clients, right? And so I deliver that through like a, white labeled Trainerize, right? Because it's just by far the most effective way to deliver training. They can also send videos back to me. And I really appreciate that platform for that. It has messaging, it has a group in there, it has a lot of features that I want, especially for the training aspect of their work with me. It does, it can link up to certain tech, not all tech. A lot of my clients do have, continuous glucose monitors maybe, or rings or whatever. I have like a separate portal that I've just made myself for them, where we keep track of all their labs and, working document together. But I'm in touch with my clients a lot. Like if you're going to be a client of mine, you're in my life now. You're a part of my life, right? So, I mean, we have weekly written check-ins, phone calls every week, 2 group Zoom calls a week. Like we're just chatting with me whenever, like we're really in touch, And so it's kind of like, I guess between the portal and there is a dashboard in the Trainerize. It's not as biohackery as I'd like.
Yeah.
But there's enough that, we know where we're headed and keep track that way.
It's funny. I've been thinking a lot about this oncoming tsunami of artificial intelligence within the space. I had a somebody in my periphery, and I'm okay if he hears this episode, that he's messaged me for 5 years, every 3. We're friends.
Okay.
What about this? Freddie, should I do this? What do you think of this? I'm going to go get labs here. I'm going to go to da-da-da. I'm going to go to the Hyman Center. I'm going to do it. So like same issues 5 years later. And I was like, hey, I'm launching the blueprint, the biological blueprint, which is every aspect of health, spirituality, wellness, language models that you could even consider. You go through it, and then every month we'll do a call together, and we're going to build you. There's no list, there's no checklist, but we're going to build it. You need to tell me, are you outside? Do you have any vitamin D exposure? Should we supplement for that? what's the message that you say in the mirror at the end of the night when you're brushing your teeth? All these things. So he's like, well, I can create a list off ChatGPT. I was like, yes, you can. I was just like, I don't think you need a list. And so I'm just saying that it's just interesting to me because people can, right now we can access more information than ever. I witness people sicker and more out of touch with reality than ever. And I think what you're doing, like, I loved your answer. This is my long-winded
I
went through
love
the
it.
woods
Yeah,
for
yeah.
this answer, is that what you're doing is irreplaceable. There is no AI that's human and flawed and has broken out of the Mormon church and has done this with, and now you're creating like a human experience
Yeah.
through that working relationship. It's irreplaceable. So when
Mhm.
every time somebody tells me like, oh, people are just going to be able to like, because there are people out there making podcasts, they're like, give me like, to your point, give me like Mark Hyman and Andrew Huberman and da 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 in one body, and they're like making fake podcasts, and they're like, "What? We won't need people anymore." I was like, "Well, I think you will.
Yeah.
I think you will, because again, this human experience." So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm glad you're doing it that way. I think that's beautiful. I don't know if that brings up anything for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that I've started in the last 5 years is retreats, transformation retreats. And I only do one a year right now, but that is my vision for like how I'm going to go out as a little old lady is like
Mm-hmm.
mostly going to be full on
Yeah.
in-person experiences. And I'm really good at it. I think part of it is my Mormon upbringing because I went to freaking camps and led all sorts of, I mean, that is like, I've planned so many freaking camps and experiences, not even funny, And so,
Yeah.
and it's just, I'm extremely extroverted, as are you. Like I get very high off of it.
Yeah.
And I have a tremendous sense of like just unconditional love and compassion for people who come to that space. And like, it's amazing, like
Yeah.
this next one we got coming up in Joshua Tree, I'm also picking portals, like just where I've gone. Like that's my job is to go and those energetic hotspots that I'm very tapped into, and they rip me wide open and do something happens to me there. That's where I'm doing them, right? So it's just like I got the land, and we got unconditional love and compassion, and just like open-minded people and cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, like, it's made me. I feel I know I'm good at what I do, right? Like it's really special what we've got going on in higher,
Mm.
but it's made me feel like I suck at everything else I do because of how powerful these in-person experiences are. There's nothing that can ever come remotely
Nothing,
close
baby.
to that in-person immersion experience of someone's looking you eye to eye in real life and like feeling your pain and being like, oh my gosh, that's so rough. And like holding up a mirror to your light and like laughing together and, putting your arm around somebody and like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's so good for humans, And
So
so
good.
like I have no worries. My next my next one sold out in the pre-sale. It didn't I realized I posted it on Instagram. I was like, "Oh, wait, I don't have room for any of you guys. I already got 28 people signed up from the last one before you went public. I can't handle more. I don't like more than 25, 30 is max. Like that's a lot of people
Yeah.
for me."
That's so good.
But yeah, like that, like, I don't worry about that at all, but I do really appreciate AI. Oh my gosh, really helpful resource. I have a client, I've had clients be like, hey, I put this into this like really cool AI. It's like souped up chat GPT. Like, what do you think for their Dutch test analysis or something? I'm like, it's really good. It is really helpful. It brings a lot to mind, but it's also not considering the fact that, you have like this emotional trauma. And, also we saw on your blood labs, like these hormones are different on the blood labs than here. So like, this is how you juxtapose the two in terms of metabolized, blah, blah, blah. It's not able to pull in all the context, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
helpful tool. I
Yeah.
love it as an addition. As a
Yeah.
replacement, you're always going to get, in my opinion, suboptimal results because there is nothing like wisdom of experience for someone to throw in your arena that's tops. That's
Yeah.
tops. It's just like, yeah, well, I would think that too. That does seem like the right answer, but let me tell you what's happened with other people in that same boat. Like that does not always work like that,
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah, the emotional impact of the body, the emotional intelligence that the body has that will
mhm.
change labs. That will change. Well, they will block detox pathways. Things will change when it's a variable that, yeah, I think so. That's how
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
it's like that little checklisty thing that tells you to manage your stress and maybe try techniques like meditation, yoga, and breathing exercises. Yeah. That's going to look like a checklist on AI. But the reality is when I'm working with somebody one-on-one and they're presenting with so much anxiety and just, you can tell that they are terrified to sit with themselves and be still. I immediately know that there were some subconscious programs that went in at a very young age. I'm like, tell me about like how your parents saw work ethic, and like all this. I'm like, they have their entire self-worth wrapped up in doing. They are terrified to not be doing and creating and blah, blah, blah. That makes them really uncomfortable. You're not going to get that off of, okay, make sure you do meditation, yoga, or whatever. We now have to go on an entire healing journey to heal your SIBO, most likely. We can temporarily heal it, right? We can give you all the different techniques and go on that whole protocol, but you're going to keep recreating the scenario if we don't address the actual issue. Sometimes it is just physical stuff. Yeah, it is. Sometimes like, oh, you got like a freaking parasite, blah, 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 blah. Your stomach acid's been low for too long, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you can just do the physical route and it works and you're good. But there's so many times that like what's actually needed is going to take somebody who can like see you, who can see what is actually going on the mental, emotional level. So they can help give you tools, give you resources. I outsource a lot. Go to this person, go to that person. Have you ever heard of holotropic breathwork? Okay, cool. Have you ever heard of Zen spray? It has something called Hape in it. Are you familiar with Hape? Because I'm just like, I'm going to put their ass in. Sometimes you just got to put them there. So stuff like that is just like, you're not going to get that through. You're not going to get all that from
Thinking on your
AI,
feet.
but it's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of, I'd love to just talk about building muscle. Wait, can you show the audience your guns? What? All right. Yeah. So if you guys are watching this podcast on video, although I'm literally going to have to wait to release this for 2 weeks because my YouTube channel got taken down again for talking about Silver Biotics, which has an FDA approved armor gel, but they don't like the word silver. So annoying. They were like, this is your last strike. I'm so vanilla. I can't believe I'm being taken down.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I'm going to have to find a backup channel to put videos on. This is annoying. I want to talk about building muscle. It's really, again, for some people, it's really easy. I would love to hear what your kind of ground floor elevator pitch is for like, what are the steps people need to do to really like improve over time, build muscle, see gains, witness transformation. Okay, I know it's contextual. Where are you at? What's your life cycle? What are you doing? Maybe what are the big mistakes people make in jumping into a fitness program with the idea of building muscle?
Okay, I'm going to hit this real fast because I know people are going to get mad when they hear me say it because they're going to think it doesn't have to do with it, but it does. The first thing you need to be thinking about is your sleep. I'm telling you, we create 70 to 75% of our growth hormone for the entire day during deep sleep. You know why I'm muscle prone? Because I get more deep sleep than almost anybody I know. There's also some other factors in terms of like technique I'm going to share in a second, but I really think that's most likely why I'm so like muscle prone. There could be some other factors, but I get like almost 2 hours of deep sleep every night. So think about it. If you produce 70 to 75% of your growth hormone for the whole day during slow wave deep sleep, and you're only getting like 20 minutes a night, it's going to be pretty hard to put muscle on. Right. So cool. There's peptides now. That'd probably be a really helpful thing, but also like figuring out why you're not getting very much deep sleep and going on a whole journey with that, which by the way, you should have Devin Burke on your podcast about sleep. He's awesome. He's like mindset. I mean, he knows all the biohacking stuff. Like he used to do kind of what I
know
do.
Devin. I've been on
Oh, you know Devin. Okay.
I was on a panel with Devin in like 2021.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's great. I love how he's talking about mindsets with sleep. It's like, I've been using his stuff with clients and it works.
Beautiful.
So anyway, just establishing that. So like, what does that mean? That means you need to fix your circadian rhythm, get like on a consistent sleep wake schedule. That is really going to help. Okay. So just setting the stage that way. Now getting into like the actual gym. Let's talk about that. Like, I think what a lot of people fail to understand is how, if you want to put muscle size on, you want muscles, you are talking about hypertrophy training. And a lot of people don't know like exactly how you go about that. Because it's not just lifting weights. It's, basically there's different stimuli that you can achieve through weightlifting or resistance training, right? There's strength. You can even do a power stimulus, but typically there's strength, and that's when you're going like really heavy for less reps, a little bit longer rest intervals. Then there's muscular endurance where you're going higher rep. It's a more moderate weight. And there's crossover. You're going to get some muscle from all of these, right? But if you really want to go after muscle, you want to mostly prioritize hypertrophy training, which, on the Chat GPT answer is, 3 to 4 sets. There's lots of ways you can do it, but you're going to hear like 3 to 4 sets, anywhere from like 10 to 12 rep range, typically, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then everybody's got to have like 50 million opinions on if drop sets or training to failure and blah, 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 blah. I'm just as somebody who I would say has above average amount of muscle for your average 42-year-old female and have been able to help lots of people get muscle. I'm just going to keep it really real with y'all. You have to get your muscles to the point where you literally can't do another rep. So yes, it's called mechanical failure. And I had to go on a whole freaking like weeks long thing with this on social media, because I think to people who are not in the training industry, when I say training to failure, something happens in their brains where they think I'm like saying like literally fall on the ground and like, you're all out of sorts and you're like about to have a heart attack. That's not. So let me rephrase with training to mechanical failure, which all that means is like if I'm doing bicep curls, I'm safe. Everything's all good. I'm in a controlled position. I just literally can't finish the last rep. That's all. I'm not saying fall on the ground and the weights hit you in the head and, you're like passed out. That's not what failure, that's not what when we say failure, we're talking mechanical failure. Can't do another rep. And honestly, you can do the mindsets, like who is it? David Goggins has his, like, when you think you're capped out, you're at 40%. He has something like that. When you think you're tapped out, you're actually only at 40%. That's kind of true in my experience with a lot of people with resistance training, especially with that hypertrophy focus, because it gets really uncomfortable. Like you are like making the ugliest faces. You're like freaking out. But I've seen the mind gives out way before the body does, because all I'm watching is for signs of mechanical failure. So if I'm watching somebody do bicep curls, I'm watching to see they're starting to shake, they're starting to slow down on the concentric or lifting portion. They're like really kind of having a hard time. And like, now it's like you can see they're trying as hard as they can and they just literally, they won't work, right? That's what I'm looking for. But when most people give up and they like, I'm like, keep going till I tell you to stop. They're starting to get uncomfortable, starting to burn. They're getting all that lactic acid buildup. They're just like, and they're like kind of freaking out. But I am seeing zero signs of actual mechanical failure. They're just still doing reps, but they're panicking. They're like looking around. They're just not used to that feeling. And then they just put the weights down. They're like, oh, sick. And I just level with them. I'm like, you were not even close to failure.
Do you know what I'm thinking about when you're telling me this though, is that the story about when the woman walks out in the driveway and she sees that the car has fallen off the jack and on her husband and she like lifts it. Like that,
right.
Like nervous system saves when Goggins says you have 40%. It saves that. It doesn't give you access to that. Like part of your training is, well, we can work with accessing that full outness where you can lift a car, and maybe not to that dramatic, but I always think of that example. It's like, well, the body's always got more in that adrenaline response, right?
Yeah. And I don't always train to failure. And there's certain exercises you're obviously not going to do this on. Like I'm not encouraging anyone to do deadlifts to failure with a barbell or barbell back squat. So it's like on the exercises that make sense, that are easy, like accessory work, like you're doing lateral raises. Like that's pretty safe and easy to get to the point where you just can't do it anymore. And you might not always have it in you to train that hard. That's okay too. Right. But for the most part, the thing that me and many of my fellow coaches that are like, people I really respect, we all agree that a huge reason most people do not get the results that they want to see in terms of muscular growth is they lack intensity in their training. Now, when you're new, you're not going to have that. Just like me, if I learned some completely new exercise today at the gym, I'm not going to go all out with it. It's going to take a while before I feel that level of comfort of like, okay, I know what I'm doing now before I'm going to get there. So I don't mean to, please don't anybody hurt yourself, right? Like the number one rule of training is like, do no harm, right? So I'm not encouraging that. But once you've got it, like you got to hit those intensity levels. Like I am like, if you see me at the gym, most of the time my eyes are going to be closed. I'm like freaking out, like I'm like freak, like there's so many F words coming out of my mouth, like I am panicking kind of, but I'm used to that. These are exercises I feel safe and comfortable with, right? But that's what I'm trying to get to. And so, obviously, like for some people hearing me say that, they're like, whoa, and that's why, like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
I get accused of doing steroids. I've done peptides once for like a one round.
I was going to
many
say,
years
in
ago.
your social media, like you have well, I've seen, and I don't visit your social media all the time, but I've seen definitely haters come in the few times that I've visited that are like, she's on roids. Yeah.
Right. And, it's like, man, if you only knew, like, I'm not even tracking my food. Like, I'm honestly kind of shocked that I still have the physique that I do. I'm like, it's all lifestyle for me now. But I think a big reason is I sleep really well. Obviously I eat well, I do prioritize protein and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I know I'm not trying to sound egoic. I'm just trying to like give people the heads up. Like it's obvious to me that most people in the gym are not being as intense about it as I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You just gotta know. And there's some put me to shame. I'm like, whoa. And they have the results to show for it. So it's kind of having to get past some of that fear and like really driving into that deep discomfort, because if you don't give your body a stimulus to adapt to, nothing's going to really happen,
Yeah. If you had 4 exercises that you could do in the gym, you're limited to 4 for the rest of your life. What are they?
Squat, deadlift, pull-ups, and farmer's carries.
I love a farmer's carry. I love a sled pull and a sled push.
Yeah, me too.
Great exercises.
Yeah. I like all the functional stuff. Like one of my early certifications is a functional strength coach certification. So I love all that kind of stuff. Like you'll see me all over the turf doing crazy stuff. And I think that's really fun.
Yeah. Incredible. So we walked through for hypertrophy. It's really where we really wanted to understand that intensity.
And obviously eating sufficient protein and sleeping well. But that's the missing piece for a lot of people is that intensity.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's such a great reminder. It made me think about when I first, I remember the first time I like touched a weight was in like high school. We were like 16 and I was playing Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I remember one girl was like, "You've got like pecs a little bit." I still have that picture. I gotta bring it out. I should cut it into this clip. It's so ridiculous. But we worked out as friends. We had this old barn. It's probably filled with mold. And it was like, remember those weights that were molded in plastic? It was like concrete with plastic around. They were like orange, yellow, and rusty bars. Yeah, old school. We had a couple things, but we'd go around. We had like AC/DC jamming.
Nice.
It was so fun. I never work out with people anymore. I just had a trainer probably 6 months ago, and I got like I put on like 10 pounds of muscle. I was like, wow, this is real. We weren't working, we were doing hard work, but it was somebody there as my accountability partner, but it was also way more fun. And I miss that now. I'm not doing the trainer. I'm being frugal right now, but I really miss the camaraderie and like walking into the gym. You're like, what's up? We're going to lift. There was really something special in my head. I'm like, I need to call a couple people and be like, who wants to just let's do once a week.
Yeah. And I think, some people that's so perfect for, and I love that. And I think a lot of guys are that way. I'm a little more like a solo. I think for me, it's because it's like creative time for me because I'm like, I'm sitting there like I'm moving with it while I'm like a painter with their paintbrush. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that'd be smart. Ooh, yeah. Like, so I kind of like to be in that zone. But last little thing I just have to say on the intensity thing, I'm going to give like a gold nugget. Okay. In terms of hypertrophy, like a lot of people hear like, time under tension or whatever. I guess the best way I can communicate this is don't break the tension. Now, other trainers are going to come after me if they hear this, maybe, and be like, no, time under tension is BS. You don't need to worry about that, blah, blah, blah. Here's why it does matter. Here's why it matters in like practical reality for people, in my opinion. Meaning, if I'm doing a biceps curl and I'm like lengthening as much as I can without completely turning my biceps off, right? Like, so I'm like, I still have tension, right? I still have tension, but I'm really lengthening out. And then I don't rest at all. I don't turn it off. It's still on. And then I come back all the way up. And then I do the same thing. I'm not turning it off at the top. I'm not turning off the muscle, right? There's like this lag that a lot of people do, which works for strength stimulus. Okay. But it's like off and on and off and on and off and on and off. It just takes so much longer for you to be able to fatigue that muscle as much. Like you will get there so much faster if you keep that tension on and don't break that chain. That's like definitely one of the biggest things I see block people. Like I love to take men, like my friends in real life, through like a pec workout, because they're like, I'm like, what do you usually do? They're like 80s. And I'm like, grab the 40s. And they're like, give me a break. Come on. And I'm like, grab the 40s. And then it will be like a joke for the rest of our friendship. Like, remember when you crushed me with those 40s? Because I'm having them activate properly and not lose tension. You want to make it harder. With hypertrophy, you're trying to make it as hard as you can. With, Olympic lifting and strength stuff, it's a little bit more about biomechanics. You're trying to make it easier, right? But with hypertrophy, you're trying to make that 10-pounder feel like a 30-pounder.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on just gym stuff.
Yeah.
I could talk to you forever. If we're past our hour.
Yeah, we are.
I'm such a great conversation. I literally feel like this is one of my best podcasts, and I've done 250.
Oh,
it's
thanks,
so
Freddie.
good. You're so great. I want just to call into the universe for you, if you want this, that you should just, they should put you on stage at more places. You should really be speaking to the masses. It's just so good. Yeah, it's so good. I hope more people find you. How can people work? I'm sure you're going to have a point where you just get filled up. How can people work with you without doing one-on-one? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, I made an app because of that, and I am pretty full right now. I'm about to make it waitlist vibes. I'm like, I can maybe handle one more. I do have an assistant coach who's amazing. Like, holy crap, she's like a genius. She's a really good coach. So if people want one-on-one, my website's taragarrison.com. It's called Higher Coaching. You'll see it. It's like one-on-one coaching, right? And that has everything that's included there. But it's expensive. For a lot of people. And I hated that. I'm like, what? I'm only going to help people who can like afford it. Like, ugh. So I did make an app. My app is really cool. I'm really proud of my app. Everyone who so far, I'm like, guys, give it to me. Give me like that constructive criticism. You're not going to hurt my feelings. They're like, I love it. It's like the only little thing is like some little tech thing that we just can't do. But they're like, no, I love it. My subscribers really love it. Yeah. So the training, I'm kind of like a boutique coach, I'm not like anybody else. So that my training is very, you get in full nerd. And then I have the mindset. I do these 22-minute mindset journey walking meditations that people are loving. I'm about to start filming some more of those. Like it's to encourage people to get in nature and do some mindset work in a fun way while they're just walking for 20 minutes, warming up.
Yeah.
And then I have a whole biohacking section, and oh my gosh, we have so much in there. We have a community. I do lives and all that kind of stuff. So that's only like $25 a month. If you go through the website, it's a little cheaper, so, or you can get a discount if you do the whole year. So that's, if you just go to my website, you'll see that on there, or you can go to app.taragarrison.com. Yeah. But that's like kind of my low, you know what I mean? Like anybody can kind of come into my world.
People always ask me, and I'm like, I have my three. Who do I say? I like the original strength guys from Mobility and Movement. I really like Kelly Starrett. Him and his wife are just very kind and nice. I like Knees Over Toes guys. Great. His little niche stuff. But the fact that you offer an app with training and there's videos in there and everything, people can figure it out.
Yeah, easy nutrition. Breezy. We've got the full video, or you can do the short clips once you watch it. But I like to teach. I like people to understand, and so, there's some of that as you go throughout the workout. But then if you just want to watch the video real quick, reminder, we have that. We have a whole nutrition, keto, and a balanced approach. We've got tons of recipe video. It's like, remember how I said,
there's so many things I wanted to talk about keto, because I again, I love it for its, and I use it for a long time to manage, post-cancer. I was so hardcore for like 3 or 4 years. And it, it's like, it helped the terrain in certain aspects. But then I do think that there's like, well, my genetics don't say I should be keto. And my body is sure, my body, again, I was actually starting to develop more body fat, and my cholesterol did
Yeah.
not like it.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't
Same.
like it. I
Same.
couldn't normalize it.
I wrote a book about this. Do you know that? I wrote a book called Term Keto. My whole
Oh, that's
When I
amazing.
came
We'll
out of the
link
keto
that.
world, my little slogan became "Do keto, not forever." Like
Do
keto's really
keto, not
cool,
forever.
but I don't recommend doing it forever, and here's why. So
That's on Amazon, right?
yeah,
Okay, we'll
short-term
link that
keto.
book. We'll link that book. Show noters, get that link. Don't forget that
You
link.
can find it on my website. Everything's on my website, obviously, too, if anyone's interested in that. But yeah, I liked it,
Amazing.
and it's it's educational. And then it has a whole like meal plan of like how to bring carbs back in, or do you want to do targeted or cyclical, blah, blah, blah. Because yeah, keto is a really cool therapeutic intervention, but I didn't like the dogma. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Remember me
I
coming
know.
out of cult like thinking? I was like, seeing some of that here. Let's be reasonable about this and give people good
Yeah,
information. So that's
yeah. Energy behind the action.
yeah.
As we close out, you get a little magic wand. You can tune everybody's iPhone into Coach Tara's channel. What would you say to the people of the planet right now?
Really hyper focus on how you treat yourself internally. Like notice just in little nuanced ways how you're not validating yourself, how you're pressuring yourself, how you're, having conditional love with yourself, scaring yourself. Really, really work on like mending that relationship into something beautiful. Really validate yourself, validate. It's not making excuses. It's validate how you're feeling and then work on encouraging yourself. Encouragement. A book to kind of cap that off is Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff. Can't recommend it enough. I consider self-compassion to be the portal to all personal growth. You can achieve your goals without it, but you're going to end up like I was at 11% body fat, where you're just stressed out of your mind and like you're just like doggy paddling to keep up with everything. And it's just a really stressful way to live. But if you start with self-compassion and work on your relationship with yourself and really making that something beautiful, you can achieve anything. And it's from such a more beautiful, peaceful place. So just, yeah, I'd say that is like really, really start paying attention to like, am I being cool to myself? Would I say that to somebody else? Like, let me be like, heal this relationship. And I say that one because it's evident in every single person I work with. And even me, after working on this many years, still find little ways. I'm like, ooh, that wasn't nice how I said that. Ooh, let me try again. So it's a massive problem. And I'd say would completely change the world if everyone did their work on being more loving and compassionate with themselves.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should spoil it. So I'm going to tell you how wild universal alignment is. I will send you this after the show. But before we got on this podcast, I recorded my 6-minute module with Kristen Neff.
No, you didn't, because you're in Austin. Bro, I have to interview her. You don't understand.
No. I didn't interview her. I mean, I reference her material, and there's an
Yeah, okay.
exercise called Loving Self-Talk. I'm going
Yeah.
to send you the clip.
You just recorded that right before this?
Before we sat down. And I don't know her.
You need to know her. She's in Austin, I think.
Well, I'm going to look her up.
Okay.
But just, yeah, when the
Wow.
matrix is on, it's on. And
Yeah.
then finally, I'm going to text you that clip. Don't forget, Freddie. Beautifully Broken podcast. The process of breaking down, putting it back together. What does it mean, Coach Tara, for you to be beautifully broken?
I mean, we already summed it up. Best, worst thing that ever happened to you. Like, I mean, we're both in the health industry. And like, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably listen to many others where it's like, this horrible thing happened to me. And then it was like the best thing that ever happened to me. Right. And so just know that like, if you are in one of those tearing down modes, like sometimes, yeah, you got to freaking burn everything down so that you can get into better alignment. And even if that sounds like, sometimes people are going through things like they had a kid that died, or like, it's like, no, it's not like I'm not trying to like get personal growth out of this or something. Like I'm just going through a really hard time. I just say like, I've been closely intimate with those types of life experiences of people I love, and like just hold on, because as time passes and as you continue to process whatever you're going through, I'm telling you, I know you might not be trying to get personal growth out of it, but you are becoming a more beautiful person as a result. So I love the name of your podcast. I mean, it's just true every time, so like just hang in there. Like, it does get better. It gets so much better. Things do get so much better. And this is just a low that is going to completely change you as a person, you know? So if you are going through one of those, which I'm like, I wonder when my next one will be. Like, we're all going to go through those. Just as somebody who has been through a whole bunch of them, I'm so grateful, you know, for all the wisdom and insights and crazy learnings that I've had in this life because of those things.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you for being a guest, Tara.
Thank
We will
you.
talk soon.
Thank
Big
you,
love.
Freddie.